Welcome to Dear Texas Radio, where we encourage Texans to drop everything and read. Your hostess for today's show is Roxanne Berkey.
Hi, everyone, and this is Rox Berkey. I'm just having a blast tonight, and we do encourage everyone on Dear Texas to drop everything and read. We're going to have so much fun tonight speaking with Martha Miller, who has, I don't know, it's kind of a two-part story. Not only does she have a wildly wonderful book that has lots of critical acclaim, but the backside story is probably just as fascinating. Martha, thanks for joining me this evening. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, Roxanne. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I want to talk about your wonderful story, Times New Roman, which is a fascinating name. But part of it is because you actually went to Italy, right?
Right, I did. I went actually in 1987 for the first time, and I went to Florence and Pisa, and for 10 years people kept telling me, you went to Italy and you didn't go to Rome? So 10 years later, 97, my mom and I went, and we went to Rome. I mean, that's where we were headed. I was going to get it in. So, I loved Italy anyway, and then I just really fell in love with Rome.
Well, I think what's really fascinating about this story is you're successful in business and you have a nice job and your husband has a nice job, and all of a sudden you decide that you're going to transplant yourself for almost 2 years, I think. Why did you do that?
Well, we had good jobs, and we didn't want to take that for granted in any way, but my husband had started in television news when he was really still in high school. He had started very young, and he was he'd done all kinds of things that he wanted to do, just had a great career. And I had started in retail and worked my way into some nonprofit. I was working for a cancer hospital, and we both had the dream of living abroad. Because when I first met him at a singles event, the first thing I ever heard him say was, I'm thinking of quitting my job, or I want to quit my job and live in a box on a beach in Mexico. And I thought, oh, no, not that one. It's going to go the other way. But he seemed actually to be the most interesting person in the room, I found out, to me, and found that we both had this desire to live abroad, and but we needed kind of a reason for it. And he also wanted to go back and finish his undergraduate degree. He had started so young. He, worked full time in college and working for a television station, and it was just really difficult. And so he decided, I just really want to go back and finish that. And so that gave us, one part of the puzzle. And then I said, well, this doesn't sound really exciting to me, being not very supportive girlfriend at the time. But then he said, well, we don't have to stay here. We could go abroad. We could live in Mexico. And then it just, my mind just, it just shifted. I was like, wait, this is an opportunity. He can get what he wants. We can move abroad. And even though we're in the middle of our careers, who knows? I was working at a cancer hospital. You don't know what's going to happen. And we kind of felt like we had to take this opportunity while it was here. We didn't own a home. We didn't have a family. We had been, both frugal, cheap, as John likes to say. So, we thought about it a lot. We didn't just decide overnight, and we had a plan. So that's how we got to that point.
So your plan included, okay, we can start an education not in the United States, but you spent some time before you landed on Rome. So what was the process, in case our listeners want to go down that path,
Okay, well, he wasn't starting from scratch. He already had a lot of hours and knew he needed so many, and then he decided that he wanted to finish with a degree in international relations or international affairs. And I thought, that's perfect. That gives us an excuse. We should go abroad, That just kind of gave us the green light. And then I said, but I need to know, before I quit my job, I need to know exactly how long this is going to take because I want to know how many months we're talking, how many years. I didn't want it to be an open-ended, oh, my gosh, we're on the 5th year and we still don't have a degree. So he, worked it all out, and he said it will take me 21 months to finish. And I'm like, okay, that's doable. And
21 months is an odd number. It is a very odd number, not 2 years. And
it doesn't. It's not great. Like a year in Tuscany or something like that. It's like 21 months in Rome. That doesn't make any sense. So that was never a title, except for the chapter that's called 21-Month Plan. So anyway, we started, after our honeymoon, we came back and he immediately started searching for English-speaking degree-granting universities and narrowed it down to 4. He applied. We went to the 2 that we were most interested in to check it out before quitting our jobs. So in March of 2001, we went to Madrid and to Rome. And John was really pulling for Spain because, his father's a Latin American studies professor. He thought, I'll learn Spanish. This is going to be, he was really drawn to that. And I was still pulling for Italy. And after we looked at both of them, I kind of twisted his arm. I said, I think Italy is really where we want to go. But also when we got there in Rome, they showed us, we toured the school. They showed us 4 apartments and gave us a choice, basically, of which one we would want. Where in Madrid, it was sweet. We were going to be on our own to find housing and sign a contract in Spanish, and we didn't speak any other languages. So everything sort of fell in place in Italy. So we left a deposit that March and said, we're really doing this. Let's commit.
So last time I checked, Italian is probably the language of choice in Rome, though they certainly cater to Americans because we have a lot of spend with them. But you're moving into Rome, which is a very busy city. And so you're fluent in Spanish, right? Or, Italian, right?
No. We were not fluent in anything but English. We had taken 6 weeks of a community, course, just at the end of your day, go learn a community course. We took 6 weeks of Italian, and that was covered in about the first hour of my intensive language program. We were not prepared, but at the same time, I just don't think we care. We just said, we'll get there, we'll learn it, we'll figure it out. So, and also we lived in a little neighborhood called Trastevere, where most people, they're just very, they don't speak a lot of English. Shopkeepers, of course, will, but our neighbors didn't speak any English, most of them. So it gave us a real opportunity to practice on them.
There you go.
And they're very, very, very appreciative when you try to speak English. Even if you go into a shop and they're going to speak, if you try to speak Italian, if you speak English immediately, it's not as well received as if you at least go in and try to say some things in Italian. And they'll help you, and they will probably just start talking in English anyway to make it easy for you.
Yeah, well, nothing like taking their language and not doing the right accenting to really kind of annoy people but they do appreciate it. You're right. I've been in other countries and seen that happen. So now the story itself, the New Times Roman, it's fascinating. So it maps out all of the experiences over this 21 months. How did you land on this idea?
Well, I thought that when I had always wanted to be a writer. My 5th grade report in school was to become a writer like Louisa May Alcott. But I just put that dream aside because, I need a business degree. I need marketing skills. I need to know how to make a living. And I just didn't think being a writer was very sure, a sure thing. But then I also found out that business and marketing is not always a sure thing either because I had been laid off a couple of times. Hence the cheapness and saving money and, preparing for the future. or for something that might happen. But I started writing. I decided to write an article for the English language magazine there called Wanted in Rome. At least I was going to pitch it. I didn't know if I could do it. But with my retail background, I had noticed a lot of things that were so obviously different. The way I would go in and shop for things and get reprimanded at the newsstand for flipping through a magazine or touching, fruits or vegetables at the food market. I found out very quickly that there was some different rules there. So I thought, I can't be the only one that's confused by this. And so I decided to talk to people, and I pitched the idea of, what are the rules? What's Italian shopping etiquette? And the editor said, write it. Sounds interesting. So I did, not knowing if she would accept it or if I would get paid. And to my delight, she loved it. And she asked me if I had other ideas. So I kind of launched a freelance writing career job by doing that.
And that's amazing, doing baseline articles on your life and times and experiences in adapting, really, to the surroundings of Rome and the people that are there. So I think that's fascinating, and that became later the foundation for your story, correct?
Correct. I had written different articles, and I found that if I was interested in something and I wanted to learn more about it, I kind of could use writing as an excuse, and I'd say, I want to write an article about olive oil, just so I could go to an olive oil orchard and see how it was done.
So I think that, during the next segment, because we're going to take a brief pause to listen to our sponsors, but I want to go through some of these specific venues that you focused on and how you had fun with that. So stick around, Martha. We'll be right back.
Dear Texas would like to thank our sponsors.
Are you looking for a book festival in your area? Check out the Book Festival Network, where you can find local Texas book festivals, plus information about the attending authors, their books, and even videos. The website is easy to remember. It's bookfestival.network. Don't forget to spell out network. Again, that's bookfestival.network, your home for Texas book festivals and Texas authors. Read, connect, and discover. We have it all at Wimberley Village Library. We support our community by providing high-quality books in all formats. We have programs for all ages and many services to fill your needs. Check us out online at wimberleylibrary.org.
Bourgeois Media and Consulting, a book publishing consultant where creative inspiration is realized. More at bourgeoismedia.com. EBG 247, where you can find ebooks galore 24 hours, 7 days a week at ebg247.com. Lone Star Book Festival is an exciting book festival to discover indie authors and publishers. To learn more about the award-winning authors, events, and other exciting events happening during the Lone Star Book Festival, please visit our website at lonestarbookfest.com. The third annual short story contest begins March 1st and runs through July 31st. Enter your short story for a chance at prizes and getting published. To learn more about this annual event, please visit our website at txshorts.com. McKinney, Texas's quaint downtown square, rich in history, entices visitors to discover its more than 100 eclectic shops and eateries. With origins dating back to 1848, McKinney is situated just 30 miles north of Dallas and 40 miles south of the Oklahoma border. One of the country's fastest-growing cities, McKinney maintains its authentic small-town atmosphere, which is palpable when exploring the downtown streets, taking a walk on one of the city's many nature trails, or even visiting the city's Croatian-style village. Learn more about what awaits you in this picturesque North Texas city at www.visitmckinney.com or call 888-649-8499.
Critics say that Joe Kilgore's A Farmhouse in the Rain has an almost Shakespearean feel and appeals to the human spirit on every level. You can pick up a copy of Joe Kilgore's Farmhouse in the Rain as an ebook or as paperback. You can find it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or at books.txauthors.com. Don't forget to get your copy of Joe Kilgore's A Farmhouse in the Rain.
Welcome to Dear Texas Radio, where we encourage Texans to drop everything and read. Your hostess for today's show is Roxanne Berkey.
And welcome back. This is Rox Berkey, and I'm so excited to continue our conversation with Martha Miller, the author of the story Times New Roman. And Martha, before we took our short break, we talked about you being a freelance writer while you were in Rome and putting together some articles. So the olive oil one was fascinating. What did you do to research that?
Well, I had always heard that, extra virgin olive oil was the one to get, but I didn't really know why. I mean, there's a lot more about it now, but back then it was just sort of something people said, and I thought, well, you go to the store and it's so much more expensive, and so I really wanted to know why I needed to buy that. And one of our neighbors came for dinner one time and even kind of said on the way out, he goes, you should get extra virgin olive oil. And I thought, oh, my gosh, you could tell the difference. So what is the difference? And a friend of mine had been at a market, and she bought some olive oil that she thought was really good. And I said, oh, could we go and visit him? Do you think he would let me come and interview him? And so she is fluent in Italian and in English. She was from Austria, and she was like, our translator. So wherever we had problems, she could help out. He spoke some English. I spoke some Italian by then. So it was fascinating. The first thing we did when we arrived at his house is they had olive oil in glasses for us to drink. And I thought,
oh my gosh,
way, you can't just drink it. And they were in blue glasses because they didn't want you to be biased by the color, because you're not supposed to even think about the color of the olive oil. It's just, with the taste. And it was delicious. I mean, I couldn't imagine just drinking oil, but olive oil that's fresh, just straight off, the vine, is something else. I mean, fantastic.
So the article that you wrote became a part of your story as well, for different venues that people could try when they are in the area, or even if they were in, say, Tuscany or one of the other regions. These are some really fun, different things to do.
Oh, good. I hope it's helpful for people. The shopping article for sure will help you, do some of the right things, and then that's one that just can help you even here. Why do I need to buy this kind of olive oil?
Well, absolutely. And the shopping as well. I think the other things that you were talking about is walking up to the newsstand or walking into a store and handling food or produce like we do here in the States. That's not a common occurrence by the Italians, right?
No, not at all. There was a shop, leather goods, beautiful handbags near the Spanish Steps, and on their door they had a sign with there was a McDonald's nearby, and it had a French fry, like a package of French fries with a line through it, because you can imagine going from McDonald's, your greasy fingers, coming into a fine leather store and picking up a handbag. I mean, it's just, I just can't imagine how the Italians felt. I mean, it was like, no, you can't. And they really want to help you anyway. So if you would go in and just say, I'd like to see this handbag, they'll take it down, they'll unzip it, they'll show you all the features to it. Accept that kind of customer service. But to come in and handle it roughly or to get greasy fingers on it, it's just very offensive.
So that's a good tip and trick for tourists that are going into the region, is the way we behave in the States just may not fly in other countries. I think that's a real handy part of your story, let alone that it's really fun.
Thank you.
How many articles did you actually put together for this little venue that you had found?
Oh, for the magazine, I think I finished with about almost 12. I love even numbers, but I think I ended up with 11 or 12 by the time I left. wrote about bicycling in Rome because my husband's an avid cyclist, and that was great fun. I interviewed different people I would meet, that were riding around, and some good friends of ours, Marty and Sherry. Marty rode his bike to work at the. He was working for the embassy or for the State Department, doing some work at the embassy, and he felt comfortable riding his bike, as did John. We didn't have a car; they did. But Sherry said, I felt better riding a bike in Rome than I would in a car because, you've heard about Rome traffic. Pretty horrendous. And the drivers are just terrible. I'll just say that. I think they would agree.
Aggressive. They're aggressive.
Aggressive.
Yes.
Yeah. You really did. We never wanted to drive in Rome, so we didn't even have to worry about it.
Now, Martha, you've shared this story through a couple of really interesting venues. So you've spoken to share with our audience a couple of the venues that you've spoken to about the story.
Oh, you mean, this kind of surprised me, but a friend of mine gave the book to a friend of hers that was Italian in Austin, and she loved the book, which I was really surprised and flattered that she enjoyed it so much. And she was part of the Italian Cultural Association of Austin, Greater Austin, and they invited me to come and speak to them. So I did a talk, and they had a wonderful dinner that night, and it was so much fun because most of them were either Italian that had moved to the U.S. and married Americans, or Americans that had moved, to Italy and found a spouse and moved back. So there were a lot of true blue Italians, and one of the men that I met had been he was born in Trastevere, so there was this kinship right away. I mean, we just wanted to talk and hang out, and so that association. Then I did a book signing at the Twig in San Antonio, and one of my neighbors brought her mother, who's adorable, and she said, "Will you come and talk to my Kiwanis group?" So I did, and they're all about international, great relations and all of that. So they were a very welcoming group. It's been a lot of fun. I'm not always comfortable doing public speaking, but for this, it's a blast for me.
Well, and you're passionate about the subject. Of course, you're going to have fun with it. And I don't want to tell tales, but you grew up in a pretty quiet area, so going international and being such a hit, I mean, that's a big deal. I bet your family is very proud of you and your husband and your son.
Oh, well, I think my husband's really happy I got the book done because I've worked on it for a long, long time. And I asked my son today, because I said, "Are you glad I finished the book?" And he's like, "Yes." He's really smiling. But I think he had, heard me talking about it like his whole life, and to finally get it done. He's 12. And it took a while to get it done, but he's really happy. And I bring him along on book signings or to go check a bookstore out because I really want him to see what it's like to do something that you really wanted to do, and then how you make it happen. And that's another reason for the book. I just, whatever his dreams are, I want him to go for it and not feel like, oh, I've got to wait till I retire before I can do what I really want to do. Do it.
There you go.
Do it now.
There you go. So a fifth grade passion of wanting to write, and here you brought it to reality and kind of gave up a lot of what I would call creature comforts to go and live frugally in Italy.
Yeah.
So what do you miss about Italy? You're back here now, but what do you miss about Italy?
Yeah. What I miss is I had lived in Houston, and I loved living in Houston, and I know a lot of people don't say that, but I really did. But it's more of a dangerous city, and in Italy, I could go out at 11 o'clock at night and get gelato, and by myself. If John was studying or didn't feel like going, there was no concern on either of our parts, and we're not. He wouldn't let me go out if he thought it was dangerous, for sure, and I could just go and by myself, walk around, maybe see somebody I knew, and I was just very free. And then, like I mentioned, we planned this, and we moved 2 weeks before 9/11. So
wow.
We had a very different experience with that than any of our friends. We knew that was going to be, moving abroad was going to change us, but we didn't know how much the world was going to change at the same time. And so, a lot of things, we're a lot more nervous about things than we used to be. And over there, I just didn't have to worry. My personal safety was not a big concern.
Well, I think that's good. And you stuck to the 21-month timeline without a problem. And it took you a while to put the book together, but it's a huge success. Where can folks find your story?
It's available through Amazon, iBooks. It's print or ebook. I wanted to do both. And you can get it from Barnes & Noble, your independent bookstore. If it's not on the shelf, you can just ask them for it. They can order it. Ask libraries. I am a huge fan of libraries. And if you can get it from a library, I say do it. Please ask them to order it and have it in your local library. And there's really, I'm a huge fan. So, and also of independent bookstores.
And you're also available, of course, on Texas Authors, and so their website is another area that people can purchase your book if you want to. Now, is
Absolutely.
the book available in Italian and English, or just English?
It's just in English. Maybe one day it'll be in Italian as well.
And, we're getting close to the end of our show, but are you planning on putting together another book of your adventures?
Well, the week after this came out, I thought, there's no way I'm writing another book. It's too much time. It's too hard. It was way harder than I thought it was going to be. Much harder to put a book together than just to write an 850-word article. But maybe 2 weeks after the book came out, I thought, ooh, wouldn't it be fun to move to New York? I've always wanted to live in New York. And then I could write Times New York. It would be like a sequel. So I don't know. I think we have another adventure in us, and I'm not quite sure where it's going to be yet. But now we'll have our son with us, and that'll be fun. It'll be a whole nother layer of fun to it.
Well, I know your followers are going to look forward to you possibly bringing that New York adventure to life, and I certainly have appreciated having you with me this evening. And Martha Miller, thank you so very much.
Oh,
and
it's my pleasure, Roxanne.
Please, let's
thank
do
you
it again.
so much. Oh, I'd love to.
Thank you for listening to Dear Texas Radio. To learn more about Dear Texas and its literacy programs, please visit their website at deartexas.info. I'm Alex Anthony, your announcer. Have a great day.